everybody, it's Bill, and this week in Spectrum we're continuing to talk about God's great big family tree. We're thinking about the people that are in God's family, the places that God's family goes, and the type of things that God's family does. And this week we're going to talk about Moses and the burning bush. There's a baptism in church this week, and that will take place during setting the scene so that the kids can be a part of the celebration and see what's going on. Which is especially good because it's Ulrika's daughter Pippa who's being baptized, so the kids will know her and know the family as well. When we go downstairs, after you sit in a circle and check in with the kids, we're going to watch a DVD of the story of Moses. And this video will tell a bit about Moses' life, about Israel and the Hebrew people being slaves in Egypt. And it will cover the burning bush story as well. The burning bush story is very special to us in the Church of Scotland because it's the seal of the Church of Scotland. The burning bush has been the symbol of our church for over 300 years, and it actually became the symbol kind of incidentally. There was a printer who was publishing the Acts of the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland, and he decided to include a drawing of the burning bush on one of the front pages of the pamphlet he was producing. People liked it, and he continued to use it for a number of years, and eventually this kind of ad hoc symbol for the church became the official symbol of the church, and we see it on our buildings, on our stationery, and in lots of other places too. The burning bush is a great symbol for us. In the 1600s, when this was first published, the printer thought that it represented the church coming successfully through the chaos of the Covenanters' fight with the monarchy, and was celebrating that the church, even in the midst of that suffering and the fire of that conflict, was not consumed. And so around the picture of the burning bush, you see the words in Latin, "and it was not consumed." This reminds us also of John Calvin's teaching from the 1500s. He was a reformer who taught about the church in any age being assailed and suffering in different ways, but God being with them and the church not being consumed even in the midst of all of that struggle. Today we hear about the church struggling in lots of different places. God's family, Christians in different parts of the world, continue to suffer persecution and violence, and they're not as fortunate as we are here in the United Kingdom. And so this burning bush symbol is a reminder to us that even in those places, God is with us. No matter where we go, God goes with us and protects us and helps us and is there with us in the midst of the fires and struggles that we face. Now, as the children watch the story of the life of Moses on this film clip, the encounter with God in the burning bush is just a small part of that story. So you may want to, after the video is over, review with them who Moses is and what happened. The story of the burning bush is, of course, when Moses has run away from Egypt. He's been brought up in Egypt and lived at the Pharaoh's palace and run away after he murdered an Egyptian who he saw beating one of his fellow Hebrew people. Moses has been in hiding in Egypt, from Egypt, in a foreign land for a very long time. And while he's tending sheep one day, God appears to him. God says, "Moses, I've heard the cries of the Hebrew people who are in slavery, and I am going to rescue them, and you are going to help me." And Moses isn't quite sure about this. He's not very confident in his own abilities, and he also is just nervous to return back to the place that he ran away from. But God compels him to go. God says, "I will be with you. I will go with you, and we will do this together." Now, to review the story, one thing that we'll do is we'll continue decorating our family tree downstairs. And this week we'll be putting flames on the family tree. There's, in your pack for this week, you'll see there's some colored cellophane, and you'll see some templates of kind of a flame shape. And what we're going to do is glue one of these onto one of these, and then just cut out the shape and attach it with glue tack to the tree. The insides of the flame shapes are also in the pack, and you can attach those to the tree as well. And we have some lights so that you can light up the tree, and it will appear as a burning bush. And you can remind the kids that this is how God appeared to and spoke to Moses. In the middle of the wilderness, there was nobody else around, just some sheep, and God spoke to Moses where he was and told him, "I will go with you everywhere you are." God is still with us today. So that can be a great craft for the kids to reinforce the idea of God encountering Moses in the burning bush. After you do that, or before, if the kids have a lot of energy, there's a silly running around game that we'll play, and that's called On Holy Ground. Now this recalls when God appeared to Moses in the burning bush, he asked him to take off his shoes. He said, "This is holy ground, take off your shoes." And we do this today sometimes when we enter people's houses as a sign of respect because we want to keep things tidy. We take off our shoes. In some other religions, the Hindu religion and in the Muslim religion, people are asked to take off their shoes when they enter the church because it's a sign of respect. And this is the same thing that God asked Moses to do. He said, "The place where you're standing is holy because I am here." And for our game, it's a game of Tig, and we'll have several squares of newsprint around the floor, and these squares are our holy ground. And what you'll do is you'll nominate one person to be it, and that person will wait for everyone to start milling around the room, and then at some point shout, "Move to holy ground," and then they will count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And while they're counting, everybody in the room has 5 seconds to run to one of those squares of newsprint, take off their shoes, and hop onto the holy ground. If they're on the holy ground with their shoes off, they're safe. But if they're still out in the room, the person who's it can tag them. And anyone they tag becomes it as well. And once you've gone through one round, then everybody can put their shoes back on and start moving around the room again. And each round will get more and more difficult because with each round, you'll remove one of those squares of holy ground, so there will be less and less space for people to be safe on as you go. Continue doing this until there are only a couple kids left, and if they still have a lot of energy, you can continue to play the game with them. So after you have decorated the tree and played the holy ground game, you can ask if they have any questions about the story. You can wonder where we might see God today. How might God be with us in different places in our lives today? After that, if there's still time left, it would be great if you could color some of the harvest pictures that we've printed out. You probably know that next week is our harvest celebration, and we usually distribute cards and gifts of plants and flowers to some of the members of our church who have trouble getting out, who have to stay at home quite a bit. And I have pictures of different harvest scenes and also a picture of the burning bush that the kids can color in. Have them color in as many as they're able. There's no set number we're trying to get to. But I will come and collect these pictures that the kids have colored in and use them to create some harvest cards for us to distribute with the plants next week. That's our lesson. I hope that it goes really well, and I'll look forward to hearing about it.